Hamiltonian Park, 25% of the people in Hamiltonian Park use this amount of water or less, 6,800 gallons in a quarter. And they're charged at $10.05 per 1,000 gallons for that amount of water, and that's how much they pay per quarter. And going down that list and looking at the current rates, you can see that each of the districts have different rates for the same service of water. Looking at the slightly darker blue-gray up there, consolidated water use, if you add all four budgets together and to make one large budget, and what we did is okay, back up a minute. In running a water treatment process and distribution system, you have some of what are called fixed costs. No matter how much water people use, and you might use a little bit more this month because you had relatives over, or you might use less that month because you went away on a trip. No matter how much water you use, the system has fixed costs for personnel, various costs in terms of chemicals that have to be purchased at a specific time, maintenance that has to be done. So that's not based on how much water you're using. So what we did was take those costs out of that consolidated budget and create a fee that we're calling the facility fee that will be divided equally among everyone who benefits from the service of water. So that came out to be $66.26 per quarter for everyone equally, everyone who uses water. And then the remainder of that budget, not including those fixed costs, was divided by how much water is billed, how much water was actually used. And the rate you get is $6.75 per 1,000 gallons. So the water rate itself is going down a lot, but you've got a facility fee to cover those fixed costs on a regular basis that allows the water system budget to stay steadier. It is a service. It's a cost to run these facilities that needs to be met. So looking across all the way at the far right there, you can see, can you see my pointer? No, you can't, too bad. You can see the consolidated cost per quarter for a lower water volume user for Hamiltonian Park is going to be about $112.50. And this is all an estimate based on an example. This may or may not be exactly what the rate is going to be, depending on the budget when this takes effect. But that example shows that anybody using that 25th percentile level of water is probably going to pay about $12 more per quarter in Hamiltonian Park. Arcadia Hills, most likely paying less because you're evening out the water rate. Some of these districts had higher rates to begin with and some of them had lower rates. If you know how much water you use about on a quarter, you can use this chart to maybe estimate how your costs are going to change. So theoretically, you've got $20 less per quarter, $12 more per quarter, pretty much down the line. There's that pretty much even spread there.
And is there still going to be a minimum amount of gallons that we have to use?
No.
So it's just straight now what we use? Straight
rate, yes. When we looked at what that minimum gallonage was, it was really set too high. In this case, it doesn't matter. You're paying, that's why everyone's paying a fixed fee. That minimum gallonage, the idea there was to make sure that everyone is paying a specific amount for the basic budget for your water system. But this way we're doing the same thing, we're just splitting it up a little different. So you'll have a fixed rate, one rate, the rates won't go up depending on how much water you use. All of the districts right now have a graduated rate, so if you're using that minimum rate, you get $7. And if you're using the next bunch of gallons up, you get $9 or whatever. This is what they call a flat rate. Everybody pays this rate all across the districts.
So we pay for $6.75 per 1,000 gallons we use, that amount plus $66.26.
Correct.
We pay that every quarter.
Yes. And that's what everybody pays. everybody that gets service of water. And again, this is an example, the rate might not exactly be $6.75, but you know, this is the rate. And then the example for annual, I just took the same basic calculation based on Q1 usage last year and made the calculation of approximately how much that would be for each of the current water users in those districts. So the districts themselves are going to go away, they won't exist anymore, but we still have your data from, you know, what each of these areas was using, and I put this together just so you could ask these types of questions.
So the district themselves, the 4 districts, they've been in existence since when?
It differs. Right on top of my head, I don't have that. Some of them were formed.
Late 60s.
Hamilton County was formed in the
Yeah.
So why is
Can
there
we
a need?
Can we just hold off on questions till she's done with the presentation? Just so
I
sorry.
have that.
Okay. And just as a note, the Office of the State Comptroller every year publishes what the state average for town districts is. And they use this in giving their okay to capital improvement projects. If a town district is doing some construction work or changing something and their costs cause the consumers of that water to have to pay more than the state average, there's a separate process they have to go through. But just in way of showing you data that's available, the state average annual cost for water is $1,000.83 for town water districts. Under consolidation, this is the annual fees that will be paid for lower water usages and higher water usages, the same that we showed in the previous slide, but on an annual basis instead of a quarterly basis. So the town still winds up being considerably lower than the state average. Again, doing consolidation and having a functioning and efficient water district is, the goal of that is to keep your facilities running and provide water, and rates are built to meet that budget need. So the next steps, tonight the town board is hearing public comments. The town board will consider the resolution to approve the consolidation and the joint agreement that Bill mentioned. If approved, consolidation will occur and the new rate will take effect April 1st. That's to complete the first quarter of this year and begin on a completely new quarter so that none of this rate shifting stuff happens in the middle of the billing cycle. The water code will be updated if needed. And future water rates, and this is important to remember that these are examples, future water rates are going to be based on the budget that's adopted and how much water is actually produced and used.
Thank you, Tracy. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Well, let me start with the board. Anybody have any questions?
I got a comment. Back a year or more ago when this all started, and one of the selling points to me to consolidate with a large district, we can vie for state and federal grants. You can't do that, for example, with a little one. So Stonehenge and Skytown would never vie for those. Okay? So I mean that makes a big difference because you had to put all new water lines in or whatever it is in the years to come. Now the village gets big bucks. They've got all kinds of money this past year for sewer and water and different things. So that's the thing that why I've come this far with it. You know, but we want to hear from you. What do you want to do?
Sure. If you can stand up and just give your name for the...
Do you want to take the mic?
Yeah.
Please.
Actually, I just have, my name is Barbara Young. I live in the Stonehenge development. So I have two questions I'll ask and then I'll sit down. First, this is a consolidation for fiscal reasons. We are not sharing water. Is that correct? And number two, are we absorbing, thank you, are we absorbing previous debt that other districts have? So for example, the system that Arcadia just upgraded for $700,000, are we absorbing that, and how's that gonna work?
Yes.
Because I don't like that idea.
you're gonna say.
You want me to answer that? Or you can?
I can. Yes, Arcadia folks were paying, what was it, $37 a quarter for their debt service. Yes, a consolidated district is administrative only. We're not at this point connecting water, though I do want everyone to be aware of the requirements by the Department of Health, and actually it's a reality and a good thing to keep in mind that you should have redundancy in your water system. If you have only one well and no other connection, if there's a problem with that well, you don't have water. So around the state of New York and nationwide, one of the requirements for running a water system is to have a backup or a redundancy or an emergency plan for the case that you run out of water. Yes, I know you're not used to it right now. You've been working under separate budgets, under consolidation. Everyone will share capital costs. And all of the districts in the near future are gonna probably go through some need. If Stonehenge or Scotchtown Park need to pay for their own upgrades, you've only got 42 people to share that among. If you add all of those districts together, it's a lot greater. And any one time, everyone puts in a little bit versus.
I understand that, but what about the previous, that's going forward? What about the previous expenses? How is that going to happen with, how are we, because it sounds to me like now we're going to be paying for that upgrade that's already occurred.
That's correct.
So how does that happen? How am I paying for that? Is that part of the $66.26? Or am I going to all of a sudden, guess what? Now you all are going to have an additional fee.
That's calculated already in this fixed fee. So there's a note there that does include the budget for Arcadia's debt. Maybe I don't have that on there. I thought I did. But the whole budget was built on putting all 4 districts together with their current budgets. So that's already in there. And that would be in the fixed fee.
What about the future? Am I the only one that hates that?
What about the future? What about
Joe, do you want to
Sure,
moderate?
Rich.
That's all right, I can yell louder.
Okay.
Why are we picking up other people's debt? I live in Scotchtown Park. Why do I gotta be picking up other people's debt when we have no problems? We keep our system up to par.
But you're technically.
And all of a
not
sudden, I'm picking up
debt.
Arcadia Hills.
You just said we were.
We are picking it up.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, you just got through saying we were.
This is not right at all.
These are town water districts, and the town has the responsibility to manage them all, and this is a
I
much
have
more
no problem with
efficient way.
that. All.
And it's been working
Scotchtown Park
fine.
doesn't have a problem. Well, problems, and not only that, we got a rainy day fund, which you people know are it's substantial. It's a good rainy day fund. We take care of our own stuff. All of a sudden, we're gonna give all that money to them? I gotta speak to you. Anyway, should I give all the money to them?
At the end of the day, sharing the cost long-term lowers the price. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but that's effectively what we're trying to do. Plus, we're also going out for large grants that the village has already been approved for that we're trying to get, which overall will help improve the system. And to say that you don't have problems at Stonehenge, we have problems at Stonehenge. We have water breaks, we have them all over the place. I'm not sure.
You're
what
talking
we're
about
didn't say
Stonehenge.
I'm
Stonehenge.
talking about Scotchtown.
What's that?
He said Scotchtown.
We have water breaks at Scotchtown too. They're all over the place.
So that's normal.
That's normal.
Joe, just, I believe what Rich is trying to get at is the way this is set up. Each water district takes care of their own maintenance, their own repairs, their own water breaks.
Correct.
They assess the people in Hamiltonian Park. If there's a pump goes down to Hamiltonian Park constituents pay for their water pump to go. Scotchtown Park, where I live, also, we've had very few problems there. The system's been taken over about 10, 12 years ago, I believe they got it from Swanson. Took it over from, and the water's been great. The town's done a great job.
But we
Like
pay
Rich's
for
point
it.
is should we be paying for an older system in Arcadia Hills, which has historically had a lot of
Yes.
problems over the years? And I have another question. Hamiltonian Park and Arcadia Hills. Does the sewer come in here anywhere along the line? I know the village goes to the sewer, but it's water and sewer assessed there. Are we in Scotchtown Park, have septic systems gonna be going towards sewer for Arcadia Hills if a sewer pump goes down out there? Part of the water system, water sewer.
No, they're separate budgets.
Okay, all right,
The capital budgets in water are for water, sewer are for sewer.
right. But I know
But
Scotchtown,
I understand your position, but what you also have to understand too is we have two major developments coming in here. Those are all part of the Hamiltonian, are gonna be part of Hamiltonian. All that money coming in from them will be shared with everybody in a combined district. Those are brand new districts coming in, brand new piping coming in. But they're gonna be paying the same fair share of $66 a month like you are. So
yeah,
there is cost, there is new cost coming in that's going to benefit the users of all four of the existing districts. Without consolidation, we'll have a district with a lot of money, and sooner or later, we will incur a problem in Scotchtown and Stonehenge and Hamiltonian. We've done work in Arcadia Hills using some ARPA money to fix some of the stuff. We're doing a combined green sand system in Hamiltonian to fix the water there. So we're trying to get everything done for everybody. Consolidation, you may not want to hear it, but consolidation and spreading that cost with everybody lowers it overall for everybody in the long run.
we don't have a water tower that has to get relined every 20 years. I was on the town board when we spent a lot of money relining that in Arcadia Hills and also in Hamiltonian Park. We don't have that in Scotchtown. We've got 42 houses, and in our water district, look at the numbers, has been profitable. Everybody pays their bills. We're in the green.
Christine Cavalier has something to say.
I'm the budget officer for the town, but this past year, Scotchtown had a lot of water main breaks. And my preliminary figures for the year show a net loss of $33,000 for Scotchtown. So my point is, every district has problems at
But
times.
the money was there to be paid, plus. there
It
money there
was,
to be
however-
paid, and plus the money was sitting there now.
We're
We
left.
took care of our own place.
We're left with $20,000 left in fund balance in
All right.
Scotchtown,
Okay.
so that's not a big, margin of error. If there's any more water breaks, Scotchtown's not gonna have the money to repair.
Christine,
But-
another answer to that?
Yeah.
And there is always an option to budget a total single district reserve fund for capital costs. And what is done with the regular reserve funds that you already have is something that can be decided too. But within that fixed fee, you could put in a small charge to everybody for a reserve fund, and spreading it out among 750 people is going to raise money a lot faster than spreading a reserve fund over 42. 33,000 divided by 42, that's a lot.
Mike Aiello, also Dollar Engineering. I prepared the valuation report.
You don't need it?
Yeah, I don't need this. Just so everybody knows, for those in Scotchtown Park, and pardon me, it gets confused, yes, it's Scotchtown, Stonehenge. There might not be a problem now, but the Department of Health for years, the preparation of the report, went through all their annual inspections. They've been very critical about the condition of Scotchtown's water pressure tank.
It's been replaced.
I'm sorry?
It's been replaced.
Well, the building itself, critical to that, the need for backup generation and a redundant water supply. Whether it be another well or a connection with the building or something along those lines. And if, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, the condition of the Stonehenge water tank, there's concerns with that, correct? The elevated storage of that is something that right now, if it has to be replaced, it falls on the shoulders of those 20, 30, 42 homes.
Right, but under a consolidation.
And so when the time comes for those capital improvements, which the writing seems to be on the wall, it's gonna happen in somewhat short order, that now gets spread amongst the larger consolidated district if it happens.
For benefit purposes relative to Stonehenge, they're gonna be they're gonna have the ability to not have to worry about that water tank once Young's Grove comes in, because they're gonna be getting their water from Young's Grove, so that's gonna be a cost savings.
I'm
And that-
sorry, can you say that again? Where's that water coming
So you
from?
turn your microphone on?
My microphone's on,
Yeah, nobody's on.
No, no one's on.
sorry.
What do you say? Young's Grove?
I don't know, where are we getting more water from?
You're not getting, I'm sorry, you're not getting water. Stonehenge is gonna be putting in, Young's Grove will be putting in a new tank, so we don't have to replace the tank from Stonehenge.
Gonna share it with
They're gonna be sharing it with Young's Grove, which is right behind Stonehenge, the new development coming in.
What new development?
There's new development coming in.
Where?
Where's your paper?
It's been here for 15 years on the board.
It's
Sean, how long is it?
behind,
Behind Stone?
15 years they've been going through the approval process.
And where's
It's
behind
coming through
Stonehenge?
Brickville
What is
Road,
it?
right by the Veterans Cemetery is where it's gonna be.
No, that's Maplewood, that's Maplewood.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Maplewood. Young's Grove is,
down the road.
Young's Grove is, if you come out of Stonehenge, make the right on Craigville, go down the property, go on the right-hand side, so it'll be butting Stonehenge.
Oh, what they were gonna put. the
across
ball
17M.
fields.
No. No, if you come, Don, if you come out of your house, make the right on Knoll,
Yeah.
go down to Craigville, make the right,
Yeah.
head down, all that property behind you on the right-hand side will all be will all be Young's Grove. There's, how many homes?
So Pleasant Ridge is where? It seems like that's where Pleasant.
So it's before
I'm sorry, Don,
Pleasant,
I can't
it's
hear you.
Pleasant Ridge, is that
Before or
after
after?
Pleasant Ridge?
It's between Pleasant Ridge and Stonehenge.
and the corner.
And it's gonna butt up against Stonehenge.
Correct.
So it's
So it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
in
on
your
the corner.
backyard.
I'm sorry.
Like by near Mrs. Levine's house. The
I'm
lot.
not sure where that
In
is.
front.
That's on the corner.
If you go back in history,
Oh, the Park and Rec property, yeah,
It's gonna be my,
By the Park and Rec property.
correct.
by the what?
How many homes?
The what?
104.
On Orwell?
No,
No,
not
they're
on your
putting
well,
in your well.
they have their own wells. And they're putting in their own water filtration system in, and they're putting a tank in. Rather than us replacing the Stonehenge tank, we're gonna be utilizing the water from that facility for Stonehenge. So there's a cost savings for all the residents in Stonehenge, in a consolidated water district.
So does that mean that we're not using our well anymore?
Yes, you're doing well.
the only thing that'll be different is you're gonna, instead of your tank that's probably, it's antiquated, it's gonna have to be taken out of service probably in a couple of years. By the time that happens, this other organization's gonna build 104 houses, and they're gonna make their tank, it's right under, not very far away, so we just run your line to their tank.
Essentially, your wells and their wells will be filling that tank.
Yeah.
Melissa? Hi, I just have a quick question, and just my recollection. Melissa Gallo, Hamiltonian Park. Question, Heritage is is included in a water district?
Correct.
Hamiltonian Park.
In the Hamiltonian Park.
Yeah, okay. So the only thing I would say, when we moved up here 20 years ago, our biggest concern and what we were pushing for was the looping of water systems. Because I agree. I mean, in the long run, it's gonna benefit everybody. As all these districts come together, you can't sustain having each one having their own district. So I understand where they're coming from. And I think that big picture, everybody sharing in cost is going to be a beneficial thing to everybody who lives within these water districts. So we did push for that years ago. Almost 20 years ago, we pushed for looping the water districts and
That's
keeping the
what we're-
water districts together, so,
Correct, that's what we're working on now.
yeah. Thank you.
17 and then Craig.
What happens to the surplus money? Because like, when we came up, I'm Carlos Garcia from Hamilton Park. We were in Heritage, and when the plan came out from a water bill for us, our community wasn't even built total. It was only less than half of the people there. Now it's it's double, if not more, the people, so there's a surplus now. What happens to that money? Is that money just disappears and it goes right into the whole?
There'll be one consolidated capital budget for water for the entire system, and everybody that has capital in their individual budgets now will be consolidated in one budget.
So basically, at least me, I was expecting that it would be less, being that we were, when they came up with this plan for us, it was less of us, and now it's more. More money got dumped into it. We were paying a higher rate at the time. I complained about it about 5-6 years ago. They said you guys are new, deal with it, and I said okay. And now we come down to here, now that it's full, the community's full, and you're gonna unite everything, and the money that's surplus is gonna just disappear from our community, or from Hamiltonian in general, especially if we had multiple wells.
You have 3 wells.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not sure what's in your capital budget in Heritage, and Christine, do you aware of what's in the capital budget in Heritage?
You'd like to know.
No.
I mean, all the fund balance will be added together.
Correct. Right.
Debt is shared and so is fund balance.
Yeah, just to be perfectly frank, any surplus in any individual district is going to be part of the consolidated district, and any debt that exists in any district now is going to be part of the consolidated district. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
I have a quick question
Could you just
concerning
state your name?
$700,000 for Arcadia Hills. I think I can speak loud enough, my mouth is
No, just your name, just your name.
Noreen DePonte, I live in Fran Road, Scotchtown Estates. You said there was a $700,000
Tank. I think we put a
debt
new water tank in a
over
couple of years.
there.
Yeah.
With the grants that you're looking forward to getting, would that take care of that?
It's my understanding, we haven't put in for any tank, or any grant.
Grants,
But
yeah,
if you
but
have a
that
big
is
district, you can put
assumption.
in like the village has done and got millions of dollars.
Right.
The grants that we'd be applying for are for all future work, not work that was performed already.
We did receive a grant for the,
For the
I
tank.
think it was
For the tank.
200,000. I think it was 200,000.
Yeah.
So what was the overall cost of the water tank in Arcadia Hills?
I think it was just under 700,000. So we had
$700,000.
some money
Yeah,
left.
$200,000 in
Yeah,
grant
it's
money.
about $500,000 that was.
So as a group, we would be paying for that because the grant money could not be used for something previous, correct?
Can I ask
Okay.
a question from the Delaware engineer? Okay. Because I thought all along Scotchtown was out there. Now, when we took it over, we had to take it over from the builder. We put a new tank in. We did put new electric systems. We did the pumps, so forth and so on. Now, and they're far away from the others. If we were to take them out and just consolidate the other 3, does that still make it reasonable enough to go out for these big grants?
Doesn't really solve your whole problem, because the town still has to administer and provide a service of drinking water to all of its people.
We would still do that.
Let me ask one question relative to capital budgets. If we have a surplus of, not a surplus, if we have a balance in a budget prior to consolidation, and we paid some of the debt off with that money, would that solve some of the problem? So if you had $400,000 sitting in Arcadia sewer, well, you can't play with water though, right? No, I don't think we have that much in the Arcadia water.
Now, and the fact that you do have fund available in some of these districts right now, and then the whole thing is put together in one district,
Yeah.
anything that you're paying out as one district can utilize those reserves. You can also put in your budget a little bit into this fee to have everybody pay in a little bit to keep that reserve fund going. You want to have something ahead of yourself. That's a good fiscal plan, to have something in reserves for pipe breaks. It's also a lot better fiscally to fix old pipes before they break, because it's very much more costly to fix it on an emergency basis than it is to plan for it and fix it. And that's what the town is trying to do at this point.
You said there was another development going in?
Two developments.
2 developments behind Stonehenge?
One behind Stonehenge, one across from Arcadia Hills.
Okay.
I mean,
Now,
across from Hamilton Park.
now those are contractors putting the wells in, and those,
Under the guidance of the building department, yes. and the
Okay.
planning board.
so will those 2 developments be consolidated with us?
They would more than likely go into Hamiltonian Park, the existing district, if we don't consolidate, but yes, they would be consolidated into the district.
Okay. Are you lifting the deed restrictions on our water for Scotchtown Estates? Since we're consolidating?
What are the deed restrictions, I'm not sure.
We're not allowed to drill our own well.
Oh, yeah, that'd still be,
That still would be in effect?
Correct.
yeah, that's an all water district.
one more page, take away 1 second here.
I'll read you a list.
Oh, at one of your meetings, you had, discussed selling excess water on November 27th. And, using the proceeds for the town's expenses improvements. I personally don't believe in selling excess of water, but if the town has already combined the 4 districts, then any and all of the selling of excess waters proceeds should go into the kitty to pay for our upkeep, i.e. repairs, emergency maintenance, even if it was an 80-20 split. Water district getting the 80 and the town getting the 20 for your improvements to use as you see fit. I believe that is fair since it is our water.
The water that we were talking about on that November 11th meeting was not from any of the residential districts. It's from a new commercial district that we are attempting to put together and build.
Okay.
That district, however, that district would become part of all of this. So yes, if there are any proceeds that were gathered from the sale of water, if we had excess water, and if we decided to sell to another municipality, that would go into the kitty, yeah?
Our kitty, 100%?
Everybody's kitty.
Well,
The
our
townwide
consolidated kitty.
Consolidated kitty, yes.
Okay.
We will have to create a new water district. It's not there. And once that's a water district, it'll be like all the other water
It'll be
districts.
combined.
So instead of having 4, we'll have 5.
Are you referencing the wells off 6.5 Station Road?
I'm sorry, John?
The wells off 6.5 Station Road?
The wells off of
6.5
6.5 Station Road.
the lip-off wells. Correct. We're in the process of purchasing them from Amy's Kitchen.
Okay.
But I'm against that. And I'll be very candid with you because of the contamination of the landfill.
Doug, there's no contamination, it's in the water, so that's not.
Did you get tested?
I just don't want to be
Okay, so.
surprised.
I agree with you there.
So yes, the lip-off wells and the 1.2 million gallons a day that we pumped out of there on the 24-hour test would essentially go into that commercial district along with the water and sewer that we're taking over from Amy's Kitchen. Yes, ma'am.
Jean Krish, I need some clarification. You talked that this is administrative, combining the districts, but then you mentioned looping the districts. Are you planning on putting mains and looping actually the water, or is it just the administrative?
The districts will exist as they are today. We will not be running any main lines to combine them into. What we are doing in Hamiltonian Park, we are building a green sand system, so we're combining 3 wells in there to 1 well house. We're doing that work right now. That's in order for us to get rid of the manganese and iron that's in the Hamiltonian Park district. Then we'll move over to Arcadia Hills, the 2 districts that have. I'm sorry.
Use your mic.
It keeps going off, I apologize. My wife tells me I yell too much. You can't hear me? Okay.
Your battery's dead there.
Yeah, I know. It's still not working, but.
That's working.
Hello.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, to answer your question, we won't be looping them. We won't be, it's not working.
It is.
It is?
Yeah.
So we will not be looping them, but there are certain districts that we're building a green sand system in that will combine the wells together into 1 well house.
Wells and wells.
Raleigh?
Are we talking, Raleigh Peacock, Hamiltonian Park, are we talking about just water districts, or are we talking sewer districts also?
Right now, we're just talking water districts.
Thank you.
But ultimately, we probably will be looking at sewer next.
Donna Guarneri, is this why they already came around and changed the meters in my development?
No, they didn't come around
Stonehenge?
to consolidate the district. There are issues we've had multiple times, Mary, correct, where residents go away, snowbirds go away, have a leak, have a running toilet, come back and they got a $3,000 bill for that quarter. It's happened multiple times since I've been here. This will allow us to monitor on a daily basis the water usage, and if we see a spike in water, at least a phone call to somebody saying, please check,
Yeah, it also lets the homeowner, you can monitor it yourself.
So-
If you're away, or even on a daily basis, you can see if there's a possible leak in the house before it becomes a problem.
Is that gonna be for all districts or?
All districts.
All districts?
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Pepe, I live in Hamiltonia Park for 48 years. And we always had a problem with the water system over there, you know. You can use that much water, you know, and this and that. There was always a shortage of water, you know. Now we're selling water to Olchester Road, whatever, you know. They hook up into our line and all that. And are we trying to fix our problems, or are we trying to get together with somebody else to pay their debts and all that kind of stuff?
Well,
Because-
I'm not aware of us selling any water from Hamiltonian Park to anybody or connecting to anybody. Hamiltonian Parks and their wells exist for the residents of Hamiltonian Park. Heritage has their own wells. We're combined the districts, they're in a district. But that doesn't mean we're combining the water.
I understand that, but why Olchester Road, that new development over there, they hook up into our system?
Old Chester Road. No, nobody's in Hamiltonian Park District except the homes in Hamiltonian Park.
They are, it's a, I don't know what they call it.
Heritage.
The
Heritage.
They got their own wells.
They have 3 of their own wells.
But they hook up into our lines.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did. They got hydrants, they got the hydrants, they hook up into our line. What are you talking about?
The systems are interconnected, but they have the capacity to meet their own.
When they were put in, Pepe, they
I'm just
had
gonna- I'm gonna-
enough capacity, so that they just, it was additive. But you're not taking Hamiltonian.
He's talking about the water line down Old Chester Road that has the new fire hydrants connected.
That hook into our line.
That hooked into the Hamiltonian Park line, did it not?
Down Bridle.
Yes, they did.
They're
did.
connected, they were
They're
in part connected, so we're redundant.
But they also provide their own water.
But they provide their own water.
So the engineer's answer is that they're able to connect, they don't on a regular basis, but that provides redundancy in case of an issue of failure on one of those sites.
But
Just
if
for
there's a
clarification,
fire-
my understanding is Heritage was an extension to the Hamiltonian Park Water
That's
District.
correct.
So they are part of the Hamiltonian Park Water District.
Correct.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when,
So why should I pay for Arcadia Hills debts? That they, when whoever did that development, he didn't do the right job, and now Hamiltonia Park has got to pay for their problems? You think that's fair? Or United, over here, we changing the way the system is in this country now. I gotta pay for your debts, maybe you will pay for mine, maybe you don't. I'm just
Yeah, no,
bringing up a
listen,
question.
I do want to answer you, because we're looking at this from things that already exist that have happened, and we're concerned about sharing that cost. We're spending about $600,000 in Hamiltonian Park right now to put a green sand system in. That'll all be part of Arcadia Hills paying that, everybody else.
What do they
paying that.
do in Hamiltonia Park? Because Mr. Bloomfield now, about 5 or 7 years ago, I called his attention on Mr. Knoll that I had a lot of brown water and a lot of air in my line. They didn't do anything about it. So what are they spending the $700,000? I don't know, and I told them what I thought it was the problem. Because I've been doing that for 50-some years. And I still have the problem.
We're not done with the green sand system.
I'm still having that problem over there. So
We're
I
trying
don't
to
know,
fix it.
maybe I moved to the Carolinas myself. Get away from
I hope you don't do that.
brown water and the airline, and the air, you know.
We are attempting to fix the problems of the past in Hamiltonian Park. I'm asking you to be patient, you'll see.
For the last 20 years, I have that problem. 20 years, and I had 3 houses right there, and I've been paying taxes in there for the last 47, 48 years, you know. I never come here, I never talk, but today I needed to get out.
No, you should come here more often.
I need to get it out.
No, listen, I understand the concerns of consolidation. I would have concerns also. But you have to look at the overall picture and the new districts coming in and all the money that they're gonna be paying, the same exact price, and they got brand new districts. They will have no problems with their water. So they're gonna be paying the same price that you're paying. The existing 4 districts will get the benefit of that additional money coming in. Anyone else?
Nick Gallo, I'm a 50-year resident of Arcadia Hills. A couple of questions. That interest structure report should be part of this meeting so that these people know what the developments are going to be needing in the near future. They try to get it today, nobody in town hall seems to have it. This gentleman here, you wrote it, or you were part of that?
Of what?
The interest structure report?
The infrastructure plan.
You were part of that.
No, Mike wasn't.
Mike
Oh,
wasn't?
No, you're talking about a thing Dominic did
Dominic Killard.
for the works.
Well, that report should be presented along with this whole deal.
And if you don't mind me asking, the purpose of that?
The purpose of that, so everybody knows what the future cost is gonna be.
The future costs are gonna be right, what they
The
are.
future cost of repair, of bringing all of these systems up to where they should be. That report went through everything, what was missing from each district and what it's gonna cost to get that district up to
Sean, you aware of
par.
that?
I don't believe that.
Doug, you were there, you must have read the report.
That's not a report prepared by your operators.
I haven't seen this report, but I do know there's lots of things that need to be
And
fixed.
this report stated each
But I haven't seen that
district
report.
and what was needed to be done. That should be part of this, so these people know what.
Nick, I'll get that report for you. I'll find out where it is and get the report for
Well,
you.
that's not gonna help your vote tonight.
No, we're not voting tonight. Who said we're voting tonight?
Oh, okay, I'm wrong. And the way I see it, this is to benefit the smaller districts more than the large ones. If you have a major problem in Scotchtown, you have 44 residents, 45 residences to take care of that. If you have this big consolidation, you have over 700. So I'm thinking Scotchtown is more to benefit than Arcadia Hills. I don't believe there's probably 2 other people here from Arcadia Hills coming to complain about what their water bill is. So they don't have a problem paying. That consolidation is gonna help them at all. And this, do you see anybody else here from Arcadia Hills?
Yes, I'm here.
Joe
Petro?
All right,
I'm here.
Yep.
all right, and the rest of this is from smaller water districts,
No,
not bad.
they're not. I'm sure Hamilton Park, just as big as Arcadia
But I'm
Hills.
saying this consolidation,
At the end of the day, they're all residents of the town of Goshen. It doesn't really matter what size they are.
it doesn't matter, no. But
Right.
I'm saying they will benefit more out of this consolidation than Arcadia Hills will.
Based on what? Based on how?
Based on Arcadia Hills has a problem, there's almost 300 houses to pay for it. Scotchtown has a problem, there's only 45 to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, you tell
But if
me.
you add them all together, there's 700 to pay for any problems in this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Scotchtown will benefit more from this.
Everybody will benefit more from it.
I don't see it that way.
Okay, well,
I don't see how 45 compares to 289. If my car breaks down, my next door neighbor helps me pay for it, great. And if 5 other people down the block help me pay for it, that's even better.
yeah, well, I mean, I look at it differently. I look at it as all residents of the town of Goshen all sharing in the cost. So you may look at it differently. You might, obviously you feel that there are more people in Arcadia Hills and
To share the
basically you're
cost than
saying,
there are in-
why am I paying for something that may happen over in Scotchtown? Is that the gist of your statement?
I'm saying they're gonna benefit more than Arcadia Hills.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the consolidation is a terrible idea. And now this commercial, what we call it, district. So private
It's not part of this public hearing, so I'm not gonna comment on that.
Well, you're telling me that they will be part of this.
The district hasn't.
They will be part of this
The
consolidation.
district hasn't been informed yet. I'm not gonna speak about what the potential of that district is into a consolidated district. We're here, we have a public hearing for 4 existing districts.
You said that they will be part of
If
this.
the district is
consolidation.
formed, they will be part of the consolidated district, if the district is formed.
Okay, so if this district is formed, and they will be part of this consolidation, these private citizens will be paying for a commercial business water.
the commercial business will be paying for the private citizens. I look at it the other way. They'll have a brand-new distribution system there, they'll be using water and sewer, and they'll be paying a fee, commercial fee, which will go into the kitty overall. So you believe that you're gonna be paying for a mega warehouse or something like that? Is that what your concern is? It's the opposite way. They're gonna, what?
How can it be?
Because the commercial district has to pay everything up front before it gets dedicated to the town. So it's all paid for, brand new, won't have to be repaired for
Okay,
30,
it's brand
40 years.
new. You know how long Arcadia Hills Water District lasted?
But that, but now suddenly the tax base is that much larger, and
But
a commercial
You know
district
how
is
long
greatly gonna
Arcadia
reduce
Hills
it.
Water District lasted before there was a major problem? About 2 weeks.
That was the developer back then. We are very, I can guarantee you this, and Sean can attest to this, it won't happen in Youngs Grove or Maplewood. Those districts were done, what, when Arcadia Hills was built in the early 60s, late 50s. Yeah, okay. So it was, maybe it was, you know, they weren't looked at as the way you look at water and sewer today during the planning and during the planning process.
Okay, but still this commercial district will be incorporated into,
If it's, if it's, yes, if it's approved and it's built, it will be combined into the combined district.
into my district. All right, there's one more problem with this. We're going to, well, that's the new meters going in that, I just have one installed, they are not tamper-proof. No matter what you may think, they're easily tamper-proof. No less tamper-proof than the ones that are existing. So if you're thinking that people are going to continue paying what they should be paying, or they are going to pay what they should be paying, you're kidding yourself.
They're not being put in, from my perspective, they're being put in so we can monitor the water. We will catch the people that are tampering with them, and they'll pay the fines that are gonna be assessed to it. You know?
They're not tamper.
Well, in what respect?
They can be disconnected.
Then we would know, they'd be offline. Brandon, do you monitor the wells every day?
I check the water usage for leaks and backflow.
They're still online, they're not just showing any water moving through.
And we will call them if they're showing no water. I guess I'm never gonna appease you. You feel like.
If the signal's not sent, it's an issue, so whether water's not being used or not. And I'm familiar with these meters, I wasn't involved with it, but what's good about them is if a signal's not sent, a warning gets sent to the administrator.
Yeah, a signal will be sent.
Yeah, so somebody has to go out and take a look at it and see why it's not, and somebody tampered with it.
Somebody's not using the water?
Not using water is not an issue with the signal not being sent.
So.
I'm not saying the signal is not.
We're gonna move on. We're not talking about the meters.
Right. Lady in the back.
Hi. I was concerned about the $700,000 for Arcadia Hills. Could that be pulled out and the Arcadia people pay that separate on their own?
Doing what though? That means they wouldn't be part of the $66? You want me to pull that out? I mean,
No. I would say, take that to the side and they would continue paying on it and they would still be part of the group.
Okay, but.
Because I don't think it's quite fair that I should have to pay part of a $700,000 bill.
Amen.
It's not fair at all.
It's 500,000, but, okay.
Well, that's a $500,000. I'm sorry, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Okay, and I don't think it's fair that I should have to pay for it, because I'm really not utilizing it. Yet, I understand the growth, I understand everything else. But I think that should be pulled. I think if any water district has some outstanding debt, it should be pulled, and it should be divided amongst and then pulled together with the other districts.
It's almost impossible to do. I have to be honest with you, it's impossible to do.
Can I just?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So what we're looking at really is economy of scale at this particular point. And I'm going to just back up and give you an example of what has happened and what's going to happen. When Heritage Estates came, they could have hooked up by themselves into the water and sewer, but they hooked into the Hamiltonian Water District. We charged them, I think, for the water portion, $160,000, and put it into the Hamiltonian kitty. Then in addition to that, with the economy of scale, they pay for all the breaks that are occurring in Hamiltonian Park. They have a brand new water system. There's nothing that they should be paying for. But if you're going for the economy of scale, then everyone has to chip in. It's not going to be 100% even. But that's the way it's going to be. But the people in Heritage Estates, they're now paying for whatever's going on in Hamiltonian Park, which is 50 or 60 years old and has more problems. Once again, it'll all even out in the end. So that's what we're talking about now.
It doesn't
With
even
the
out
debts,
in the end.
No, I'm just saying with the debts and the amount of fund balances, it's all going to go into the kitty. It should lower the rates for everybody. Correct. So, I mean, that's exactly.
After you pay the $500,000 and whatever else somebody else.
That price includes the debt.
Yeah.
The price that you're seeing there put together, Trace, is that correct?
Yeah.
Includes the debt you have in all of the districts.
And Arcadia, I believe, is the only one that has a debt right now.
Gentleman in the back has had his hand raised forever.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kevin Atosha from Heritage. I think this is kind of the question that's bubbled up to the surface is, how will, just if you guys can give us some insight for the community, how will future projects be determined, like priority? Again, we can't assess, and pinpoint exactly when everything is going to need to be maintained. So if you guys can share with us, how will that priority be determined when projects need to be fixed?
One of the things, for example, the Arcadia Hills tank sprung a leak. It was a priority. And we had to go out and design it and buy it and put it in place. And if the Hamiltonian Park tank, which I don't, is in pretty good shape, but if it sprung a leak, that would be a priority. So we could possibly give you the water that you need. So that's what it's been based on in the past. Now these other things like brown water and green sand filters and all those, they could be moved back and forth. But there's the big ones. In Scotchtown, we had to replace their tank 12 years ago because it was halfway full of mud, and so that's done. So there's priorities that are based on what the result is, and that's how they're talked about and done.
Were you talking in reference to potential problems and how we would assess the problem and who gets priority on a problem?
Yeah, like just a little bit of insight into your decision making, and I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just trying to be informed. That's all.
We take every leak and every pipe break and everything for every district equally. So if there's a break in Heritage and a break in Hamiltonian, they're both getting that fixed at the same exact time. So there's no priorities when it comes to that. I misunderstood your question. I thought you were talking about capital-wise. How are we going to be looking at capitally taking care of the districts? The same exact way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just question on, if I can say this correctly. What was the thought process? Say you go ahead and you decide to consolidate these residential water districts.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thought process of then introducing a commercial water, they're not a water district, but a commercial property with their water situation? Why would you then bring, what was the thought process of bringing commercial property then into the residential property?
Well, it would be a district. It would be a district, same way, generating revenue, a lot of revenue, and the residential districts would benefit from that. Go ahead.
And I'm not aware of anything of details of what's happening here, but often when we do these consolidations, you have, what we're recommending here is a rate restructuring. If you have another district formed that you want to consolidate with your current residential, you go through another rate restructuring. The idea is that everybody is benefiting from a service that the town is providing and it needs to be paid for. Commercial functions usually benefit more. Think about a residential use You turn on your tap, you take a shower, you can flush your toilet because you have water. A kitchen, a supermarket, an industry, they're creating something that they sell, so their benefit is more for having that water service, so they are usually charged a little more according to benefit. And there are several different structures that you can build to do that. When that time comes, that can be redone.
So they'll be
again,
charged.
They're charged more. They're charged something greater because they're benefiting more.
So the plan is, because
I
you're
don't think there's a plan
saying,
at this
because you're saying maybes and could be's. So the idea is that in your mind, Joe, you say, you know what, if we bring this commercial district in with all the other residences, we can charge them more to help benefit the residential.
Exactly, correct. Big if we form the district and if we get it into place, yes. That's our thought process.
Okay, thank
Benefit
you.
the residents of the town of Goshen with a commercial district that's going to be paying more money on a brand-new district that is going to have minimally or no water breaks or sewer breaks, benefiting the residents of the town of Goshen.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Ross and Buck. I just moved here last March from across the river, Fishkill Water District. You guys are 4 to 5 times higher than what I paid. And I'm looking at your numbers, and tell me if I'm reading them wrong. You're not going to be saving any money here. Those numbers are very similar.
Where do you live?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, what district do you live in? Hambletonian Park? Where do you live?
Heritage.
Heritage, okay.
Heritage. So I'm looking at this, and if you're not saving a ton of money, why are you even considering this? Future.
Because basically, this is a service that the town is providing, and it costs money to run it, and the costs are the same. The costs haven't changed. So your overall, right now, on a regular basis, is not going to change. What's happening is a more equitable, efficient, easy to explain billing process, and then as was being explained, future coming out and benefits can be accrued and grants can be received. A lot of these grant processes require any consolidation to be completed before the grant is applied for. So consolidation itself has a lot of benefits.
Sounds complicated.
And that's how this began. That's how this began. We started looking for grants. We reached out and we hired Delaware, and Delaware said the best way to get grants is combining the districts. In greater force, you get more money. And there's a lot of money being given out right now.
Joe, and are we gonna see any of that money from the grants?
Personally?
If we get that money for grants, are we gonna see anybody? Meaning, are we gonna save any money in the bill?
The grant money that we'd be getting are for specific projects, trying to get relining the sewer lines, doing green sand systems. There won't be a refund because you can't use grant money to refund somebody. But in the long run, you will benefit from it, yes.
It's for building capital projects that you need to bank so that their cost to you is a lot less if you don't have a grant than if you didn't have a grant.
No, I understand that. It's just that I'm from Heritage, and it's amazing the amount of money that we pay quarterly.
Outrageous.
It's outrageous. And the water itself, I mean, it's not drinkable. We can't drink the water. We can't even bathe with the water. We need a filtering system because the water is so bad. So, and there's no guarantee if we do this that the rates are gonna go down. You're not guaranteeing that for us.
No, I never said the rates are going
down.
Exactly. They're gonna go up. So there's no need for it. Exactly.
We buy bottled water. We've been buying bottled water for the last 15 years. Even to make my coffee, I gotta buy bottled water. I only use that water from the town over there just to go to the bathroom, and that's it. I take a shower, nothing else. Cannot use that water even to make coffee. That's the water we have on Halmantonia
Very
Park.
brown, very brown. Yeah.
That's the water we have on Halmantonia Park, and you wanna unite it with somebody else. I'm not saving any money. You're charging them all over here, according to this.
Understood, and
We tried, they tried this
I
one
understand,
before.
I understand the frustration, believe me, I've had it since I took office. I
And
know
everybody
what-
pays their own debts and that's it, you know?
Do you want an update on where Hamiltonian?
Brands.
As far as the green sand system? Yeah, I was gonna give that to them, but I can't.
Joe, hold on one second, and I see where you're going with this. Brian Gallo, Hamiltonian Park. I've been in 20 years now. One, growing up from Long Island and everything, you belong to the Suffolk County Water District. We were all one, and eventually it all worked out. So I see where you're going with this, and nice job and good work. Pepe's Point, and everyone else that lives in Heritage, Hamiltonian, every 5 years, I have to call A-Star to come fix my pipes, because they're rotted out.
Yeah,
That's right.
every year.
That's right.
That was the heating system. Then, we have to get an osmosis system, so we can drink water and have ice, because you can't have the ice with the regular water, because you get a settlement.
That's right.
So these are the problems that we're having, forever.
That's right.
These two guys have been.
48 years.
Let me finish, you yelled enough.
Granted,
So the,
we understand that.
so this is, so between the combination, also try to explain how we can drink, one day drink our water, instead of buying a $5,000 osmosis system, so my whole house doesn't have to rot out. And I have to change my hot water heater every year, to the point that the warranty company said there's no way your hot water heater is rotted out
So we'll give you.
in 5 years.
I bet
So I
you-
went through 2 hot water heaters in 5 years.
I bet you every 3 years.
We'll give you an update, Brian, I'll give you an update on that, because
No, but that's-
I can tell you
that's
what
what
the
he
update is.
does.
All right, let them finish.
I can tell you what the update is, because we have it, okay? Roger Mumford has placed the money in escrow, we have his money, okay? The green sand system is being priced out right now by three vendors for the town. That will be installed in the next 60 to 90 days, right? That'll take care of Heritage.
Yes, sure.
We're waiting for the Board of Health to come back, we're at the final stage, Mike, correct, for Hamiltonian Park. We already have everything lined up, ready to go, it's going out to bid, that's probably 5-6 months away? 5-6 months away, and all your brown water and the filter systems that you have in your house will be able to be removed.
Yeah, I got $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
One question, didn't you say if you got a grant, we could use it to line sewer pipes?
That-
I didn't think
that-
sewer
that-
was part of the water,
That is part of the capital budget that we're trying to go after, that's what started this whole process.
but that's not water
It's
district.
water, but we have water problems also, so green sand systems, and anything that we have to do to fix the water problems will be part of the grant. It's not just sewer, it's water. We're only talking about consolidating the water districts right now.
That's what I thought.
Melissa?
Just one quick question also, about the grants. Have we hired, I mean, I don't know if this company does that,
They do.
but.
Delaware does it.
Thank you.
But to see the thing, I mean, we could, what if, for example, in Scottown, based on all the, they say, okay, we're gonna put them all in, and there's $3 million for the water line. And then we have some other green sand filters. We can go out and get a $10 million grant, then we can start setting priorities for these things. And that's why I bought into this concept 6 or 8 months ago, that we ought to pursue it, because we can get grants. Now, if we don't get the grants, I'd have to think twice about all of this again. And but I do know the village, I mean, they got a couple $1 million for a sewer plant, and they got a couple $1 million for that, so, because they're a bigger water user, than sewer user. That's what's about, and I think that's kind of an unknown, but we're going, betting on the come that we'll get grants.
So we know we'll get grants. We know we qualify for grants. The amount, we don't know. The percentage, whether it's 50% of the town would have to pay towards the grant, or 25%, we don't know. But we will get grants. Anyone else?
The $66 facility fee, how long will it be before it goes up? Any idea? You know, 66,
Tracy,
maybe
correct me if I'm wrong, it would
86.
only go up if we had to spend more money.
Yeah, and the capital fund is involved with that. So if there's a major capital fund, depending, less grant funds or whatever, that would be involved in that.
But the point is in a consolidation, we'd be building that capital fund based on that $66.
Yeah, starting to.
Correct.
Is the grant involved in those numbers or not?
No, there's no grant at this
We don't know
moment,
what the
and
grant
there's
is.
no, right now, we're just talking about what you have now, consolidating and setting up the structure the way we need to go after the grants.
That's a usage rate. The grants would only be for capital.
So the $66 could go up. Of course.
The facility fee would include debt, yes.
Assume that it will go up.
Correct.
You said the $66 already included the debt, right?
It includes everything current right now. We're not talking future today.
And how much bond money are you trying to go after? Kind of, sort of?
We don't know. We don't know what everything is going to, what the cost is going to work out. But that's what we're going through right now with Delaware.
All right. Thank you.
And currently, the bill funding is available, that's the big federal package that went in for infrastructure. What's the B stand for? The infrastructure law. Bipartisan infrastructure law. That has a large amount of funding for infrastructure for the next, 4 years now. So, going through the process, planning what you need to fix, and going after some of that funding is the idea.
Yeah, but that's for different things, it's not for, is that for shoes and water? Or
There's
that's for
money for
something
both
else?
in there.
Because
You
I
go
know a
after
little bit
water.
about that.
Yeah.
They have the funding, but for some stuff, not for everything. Or it could be for roads, or it could be for something.
Right, it covers a lot, but water
But
is included in there.
It may not cover water.
It does.
But Pepe, you just take the city of Middletown, they spent a great deal of money on their water and sewer this past year. That was federal money or state money or whatever. The city, the village of Goshen's got a lot of money this past year. Now, will we get it next year because we got a bigger district? That was a stopping point. We couldn't put in for Stonehenge or Scotchtown for something because they weren't big enough to qualify. You have to have a certain number of citizens and so forth and so on.
Yeah, but that money may not be 100% that they back. You may have to pay 50% back. Or 30%.
Could very well be, you're correct.
You may have to pay it.
And at that point, we'd have to assess it as a board, as a town. Do we want to take $3 million if it's costing us $1.5 million and it's going to raise the price? We'd have to assess that.
Right.
Absolutely.
I know about that.
This just opens the door to apply for the grants. It doesn't know how, we don't know how to manage them or how much money it's going to
Mr. Bloomfield,
Yeah.
before you go out with this, I'm not going to vote for this. I'm telling you, face the problems that we got there first, then after that we talk.
Pepe, in 3 months, I'm going to come to your house and get a cup of coffee out of your faucet.
That's it. 48 years and 20 years I've been bothering about this water. I can drink the water from there. Forget about it.
I'm telling you, in 6 months, I'm going to come to your house, I'm going to get a demi-test coffee out of your faucet.
Oh, I got the bottle of water they put for I cannot use that.
You will in 6 months. I promise you, in 6 months you will use it.
I gotta use it. No, because no good. Kills my coffee machine in 3 days.
Hey, Pepe, charge him $3 million for that demi-test.
No, that's not gonna happen right now.
Are you a betting
I've been
man?
around.
I'm a betting man.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I just want to summarize things. Take the grants out of the whole equation. The larger a district, the larger the tax base, the larger the base, the less pressure it puts on those that contribute to it. Hands down. Just as an example, my mother-in-law lives in the town of Warwick, but she's in this she's in the village of Florida school district, Class D school, very tiny school, small district. She's paying about $2,000 more than a similar sized house across the street for that's in the Warwick district, just because of the size of the district. It's economy of scale.
Economy of scale.
The bigger you are, the harder you fall.
Anybody else like to speak?
By the way, I thought this was a great discussion.
Anybody else?
This is
Well,
probably
it's
one of
just
the
that,
livelier.
it's just that, I'm sorry, it's just that you don't know whether it's gonna go down or it's gonna go up. It's not gonna go down. You know,
It's
the
going up.
probability, it's just.
I've never seen anything go down.
And we, as residents of Goshen, we're
I
gonna
think your
have
taxes went down last year.
I don't think so.
Yes.
My taxes?
Town tax.
Okay, that was down last year.
The agenda is that things will go up.
Taxes, I
That's
think,
the
went up.
agenda.
We give you guys credit for that, the taxes are good.
Okay, but the school taxes went up.
But we'll go to the school board. We know that. I know that.
But again, it's too much to risk for us. I think.
Okay, I mean, that's your opinion, and I respect your opinion. I think if you look at it overall, it benefits everybody in the long run. But I know we can't see what we can't see, it's in the future, but if you're a visionary and you look for it in the future, it's there. It will lower, the water will get better, the sewer will get better, the pricing will stabilize. We have to build some of these older systems. Unfortunately, some of the newer systems are paying for some of the older systems. We understand that. We understand that. Anyone else?
Take a shower in the summer.
All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We did have a motion to approve the resolution. I'm suggesting we'd like to keep it until the next I think we're only 15 days in. What is it?
I think we met once.
December, January, February. Here we go.
Yeah, you always wait.
We can do it at the next meeting. So what's might be right in?
What is the date? The date we started this was November 1.
December 1.
So it's technically, if we started in November, it's definitely not 90 days.
No.
What does it start from? Like NPRs or something?
I'm Kevin, I'm from Heritage too. Nice to meet you.
So we have next meeting.
No, we're original.
But then
We're original dates. Yeah.
I have no idea. And what's your first I know.
Oh, I love it. We love it. We always put it out immediately.
All right, next item on the agenda. We have a special permit approval extension requested from New Leaf Energy, Inc., aka Owens Solar, 111 Owens Road, Goshen, New York. For permission to approve this issue January 12, 2023. They're asking for a 12-month extension. Any issue?
Can't hear a word.
No, I gave it to Lee.
You gotta move those people out.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do is just. I'll say it, Joe, if you want.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to continue on with the meeting, so if you want to talk, feel free, that's fine. But if you could just go out into the hallway so we can continue with our business. Thank you.
All right, so they're asking for a 12-month motion to extend the New Leaf Energy Owens Solar to January 12, 2025. Any issues with that? They're sold to a new company?
Yeah, so, the order permit in January of last year. Your special permit, was valid for 1 year. Yeah. Board with approval, they are in process, they have not already sold to the executive project. They are a week or two away from getting signed site plan, and they just needed approval because they're moving forward.
So let's give them the 6 months so that.
What you can do if you'd like, the planning board set the site plan approval to expire on March 7th. So if you want to tie together with the planning board's approval, then the two go ahead.
I think we should.
I would give everything to be wrapped up by then.
So it's not, since it's a 6-month extension they gave?
I would
Well,
just
they give 3 months.
I would just give an extension to March 7th.
March 7th.
And then they're both moving forward at the same time.
I make a motion that we give them an extension to March 7th.
March 7th, 2024?
2024.
Second that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, next item on the agenda, we talked about Sean's request for the increase. I think we all agreed. Phil, you?
Yep.
No problem?
Yep.
This is the.
I felt it was in order.
Oh, yeah. Right? All right, so can I have a motion to approve Engineer Hoffman's request as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
I have Bill and Doug.
All in favor?
Aye.
Review and discuss preliminary estimates, annual district taxpayer cost for proposed ambulance district. Sean?
So a couple of months ago, you asked me to look into ambulance district formation. And the basis of this was as discussed with Senator Mark, and he used the town of Montgomery ambulance formation as an example. Your situation is a little bit more complex, where the town of Montgomery has the town and the villages within the town of Montgomery. You actually have the town of Goshen and a portion of the town of Attleboro, as well as the village of Goshen, a very small portion of the village of Florida, and a small portion of the village of Chester. So what I prepared for you is really just a scenario, because I know you're very interested in the potential rates. I'm just going to walk you through how that compared, but I think you're familiar with it. The first portion would determine the emergency service area that's served by Goshen EMS. We received a map from the county. Discussed it with members of Goshen EMS. Essentially, like I said, it is the town of Goshen, including the village of Goshen, portions of Chester and Florida, as well as a portion of Hamptonburg. We had to then take that map and figure out what parcels were actually included in the town of Hamptonburg. After that, I got data from your assessor. And then I got data from the town of Hamptonburg assessor to determine the total assessed value of the parcels in the potential. And as you know, any municipality would have to consent to being part of the district. That consent would be by resolution, and that resolution would be subject to permission of referendum. So you can't, yes.
When the library was built, it went up for public vote. This is creating a brand new taxing authority. Should this not be public vote?
This would go up for permissive referendum. They met the requirements to have it go for a vote. They could. I believe if you wanted to, and you could talk to Rory about this, you could actually, I think it's one of the items that you could actually just have a referendum on. It's normally not done that way. But really the purpose of
You're talking about this coming November.
Yes, if you could have.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we had with the library. It put up for a referendum where people voted yes or no.
Typically, Doug, the way this is handled is your board would set up the district, and then that vote is subject to a permissive referendum. So if somebody gets enough signatures, at that point, then they would have force a vote.
Force a vote. Okay.
But if it doesn't go up there, then we set the district up, then it becomes a district.
Yes, if you follow through the process.
So what Doug is trying to say is he wants it to go out to the people.
I want the people
And
to
have
tell
make
us
them
what
a
they want
decision,
to
not
do.
us tell them, well, we'll make a decision.
I mean, I'm looking at this 300, I mean, it's going to cost me, I saw it here, $341 or whatever it was. And my fire bill for 3 fire departments is $400. I just paid it.
Can I just walk through the numbers?
Walk through the numbers.
Yeah.
So I gave you 3 scenarios, right?
Right.
There are multiple scenarios because each municipality would have the ability to join the district or not. The scenarios I gave you are, the first one is the best case scenario, if you will, in terms of economy of scale, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
That is that every municipality that's currently in the Goshen EMS service area wants to be part of the district.
Right.
And that would result in a tax rate of 31 cents per thousand.
Right.
The second scenario I provided to you was that if the town of Hamptonburg chose not to be part of the district, in that case, the price would be about 43 cents per thousand.
Right.
And in the worst case, if none of the other municipalities were to join you, and it was just the town of Goshen ratepayers,
Yeah.
it would be 68 cents per 1,000. Now, if I put on that worst case scenario, what the value I want you to look at is the 250,000. That's an assessed value, that's not a market value, right? So you take your market value and you multiply it by the equalization rate and then get the assessed
Why'd you
value.
pick 250?
Because it's closest to the average home price in Goshen, which is about $500,000.
The assessed value. You know.
This is the assessed value.
What's the
assessed
equalization
value
rate,
and
about
the
60%?
sales value are different.
Something?
Correct, yes.
62% is the equalization rate, we understand that.
Okay, so the house that's valued at $1 million on the market would actually have an assessed value of about 200,000 using your equalization rate. So if you look at the 250,000, that's a typical house plus some, if you will. And that person in the worst case scenario would be paying 170.59.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, I mean, again, I have two questions about it. I don't care what Montgomery's doing, and I know we have to have the service, okay? But I would like the people to vote on it just like they did in a referendum, like they did with the, versus the town board.
That's gonna be up to us to discuss. I mean,
Okay.
Sean's just here giving us the numbers, that's it.
Okay.
Well, I have the numbers here on the.
Yeah, I got it.
they give
I
us-
understand.
So he's only here to give us what we asked him to give us. You know?
Right.
He's not gonna sit there and say, okay, yeah, I agree with you, we should have a referendum.
So, just to kind of recap on
Thank
this,
you.
we're just gonna use that $250,000 in each of the 3 scenarios, just so it's common.
Yeah,
Sort of the best case, everybody joins in, economy of scale, for 250,000, assessed value is $78.
Right.
If the town of Hamptonburg opts out, but the municipalities in the town of Goshen are in,
more
that
than like
250 is gonna be 106, almost 107. And then worst case, just as I said before, that 250 assessed value is
So,
170.
is that based on the current budget, their current budget?
Yes, that's the other component of
So,
this.
that's the other component, so whatever their budget is where it'll go up to. If they decide to buy a bunch of ambulances.
Right, but
or
if you-
whatever, I don't know.
Well, remember, we talked about this in the beginning when we said, we discussed this and said if there was a way for us to control that budget and approve the things under the condition of Montgomery, and I know we don't want to talk about Montgomery, but that's the condition they have in Montgomery.
I don't want to talk about, you're right, I don't want to talk about a condition. I want to
If I-
talk about what's
if I could
real.
just add something.
I know, but
I understand.
that's your request. Your request was, I want to be able to control the budget. I want to be able to say,
Absolutely.
you're not going to get a new ambulance this year.
No, I want to be able to control the budget, but I wasn't for creating a tax district or a taxing authority by
Understood.
controlling the budget. I meant the budget that they give to us
Understood.
and how much money we give to them. Right now, well, last year, we didn't have an actual budget or a breakdown of the budget to understand what the expenses were.
Understood.
That's how we controlled it, not by a taxing district or a taxing authority. George knows where I come from.
Yeah, no,
I just-
understood. Keep in mind,
Yeah.
Phil,
Yeah.
keep in
Yeah.
mind, the state of New York is coming down. We're going to be forced to do it.
That's okay,
Yeah.
we might be able to consolidate with other municipalities. I don't know what the future will bring. But right now, I know we.
Understood.
Well, if I could just
Yeah.
use an example, you mentioned the fire departments.
Yeah.
The fire
Yeah.
departments don't come to you with your budget, right?
No, they don't.
have their own budget process, and
Yeah.
And their own board of directors, and they look at it all.
the ambulance district would be different. You would have control. They would come to you with the budget, and then you would approve that.
Why? Why don't they have their own board?
They're not gonna be.
Because that's the way we're structuring it. If you go out to a vote on this and the public votes on it, then they have a district, they do whatever they want to do, because the public is voting on it, correct?
Yes, once it's formed, there's 2 options that it could take. The first is the one that you're looking at, which is where they would, essentially you would be contracting with Goshen EMS. The second would be that it could be a town department. So those are the 2 options that would be available.
I mean, we can still contract, we do contract with
Yes, I know, that's
EMS.
my understanding.
That's how we do it.
Yes.
And I don't see anything wrong with that at this particular point, because things change. Things change, and I'm just really opposed to having a tax authority, another one. We have so many now. So many people are able to tax the village and Goshen residents.
When are we expecting Brian to come in?
Yeah.
It was the end of the
Next
month.
meeting?
I'm not sure why Brian
haven't
is
heard from him.
appearing here anyway.
Right.
And bringing us Montgomery stuff. I'm a little, I'm
No,
kind of
he-
miffed at that, because, let me finish, Joe. He's not bringing anything to us from New York State. He's not bringing anything to, he's not saying, let me come in, Goshen, I'm your state representative, I can get you a grant, I can do this. He's coming in, I don't know why he's coming here.
Only because of his knowledge about what's going on in New York State and his knowledge of forming the district, because he was the one that formed the district.
Oh, I understand that, he formed that.
He's only here for information, I don't think he's.
Well,
here to-
he gave us the information, but I don't like being strong-armed, I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
I know the village of Walden didn't join that district, but they went on without it. There are just a lot of issues that I have with this particular
As our assemblyman,
So
I think we
I'm
all,
sorry.
at least only
Yeah.
respect the committee. He wants to come in and
Well,
speak
he
to us.
did come in, he came
He's
in,
coming
he
back.
made a presentation, and now he wants to make another presentation. I'm trying to figure out why.
Well, he's
That's
coming-
really
he's
why.
coming in because now the map plan is done. and
Which is what we asked him to
he
do.
requested.
We asked him to do
the
it
map.
as a
Now
courtesy
map is
to
done.
him.
Yeah, now the map.
That's what we did.
Now the
I
map
was
plan-
opposed to spending that money to begin with. I just want to finish my comment. I was opposed to spending that money, going in that direction, but as a courtesy, I didn't resist it.
So let's just finish the top.
I understand.
We'll finish it, he's gonna be in at the end of the month, we'll finish the process and we'll move forward with whatever the next steps are, if any. I mean, I don't think it's-
My initial question is, why is he coming in again?
Because he's coming in to
What-
give us the
what is he
results of
gonna
everything
add?
he did, everything that we've got put together.
We kind of know what he did, and Sean now put this together with this information. But it's okay, I mean, he's allowed to come in. He's our assemblyman.
Assemblyman Moore's been very helpful. I had a lot of difficulty getting information from the county. He was able to get that map that you see in the report from Farmington County.
I understand.
He also was able to facilitate conversations with Goshen EMS regarding their anticipated budget.
Right, well, he was in on it when he was there in Montgomery, but now he's not in Montgomery. So, anyway.
Well, quite a while back, he called me, and as you guys know, I've always been interested in having a tax district for any number of different reasons. And he said, I went through the process and I think I can help you. So I wasn't gonna say no to him.
He called you or you called him?
No, he called me.
Oh.
He called me,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he called me.
okay.
And again, I think you guys know it already, but the way this works, if you become a tax district, ambulances, not fire, we have to come to you on a yearly basis, and the budget has to be approved. So you have that factor, which is quite a bit different than any other district. And that's the way it's set up by the state.
Well, I don't know how it's gonna be set up, but I do know since the library's been built, boom, 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 look, it's been going, the taxing authority. And so that's what's filling our fear.
Yeah.
And I've lived in California, North Carolina, Virginia, so, and they've never been by themselves, they've always been part of the fire department. So it's just, I think the county and the state need to be looking at all of this, to be very candid with you.
What's the date I told you the county execs having the round table? You're more than welcome to come to it.
Yeah.
The 24th?
It's January 23rd, 11 a.m. at the 911 Center.
The county exec has a CE round table talking about the ambulance district and talking about,
That would be good.
that's the date, you're more than welcome to come. Karina, can you just send everybody the invite?
The difference
Okay,
from
good.
the scenario you just described with the library increasing every year is that you don't have control over the library budget.
We don't.
In this case, as
George
George
indicated, the ambulance district would have to come to you every year. And if you think that that budget is too excessive, you control that budget.
They have to come to us every year for the amount that we're going to provide for them anyway. The system is exactly the same. The only difference is, there's no taxing authority. We do control the whole thing, as far as the amount of money we're gonna get. They can go out and get grants and do whatever they want. I still don't think you have a paramedic on board, do you, George?
No, that's
No.
one of the crucial
Going to ALS.
reasons of why we want to be a district, is that we can step up to an ALS, where we have paramedics versus a BLS system that we have
But I
now.
don't think the ALS is conditioned upon you being a taxing authority. I think you got it backwards.
No, I don't have it backwards, Phil.
So what you're saying is you
What I'm
can't
saying-
have an
You have to have
ALS,
guaranteed revenue when you're hiring people,
if
right?
you can't be an ALS, if
We could
unless you have a
not-
taxing
no,
authority?
No, we could not become an ALS system now without some help from
You need the money.
the agency, therefore, a tax district.
We're talking about apples and
I think what
oranges.
Phil is saying.
Come on.
I think what Phil's saying is, what is the number that you would need for the town in order to be an ALS district? Is that what your question is?
Yes, that's the question.
Yeah, in order for it, as it stands right now?
Yeah.
450,000.
So you need something from the town, the village,
Right.
combined.
And then.
All the districts that you serve.
You're not gonna get nothing from Hamptonburg, so you
You
might as
got
well just
Chester,
eliminate them.
yeah, well then, can we cut them out of where you serve?
We could, but they account for a lot of revenue because of the nursing home.
but they still wouldn't provide any.
Well, eventually down the road, if that's the way they do,
Yeah.
I'd be adamantly opposed to cutting the district in any way, shape, or form now because of the revenue that it creates, as Joe was saying. But down the road, we become a district, and we're getting our revenue from the sources of, the vast majority of the money comes from the billing. That next year, we're gonna get about probably about $1 million in revenue, just.
Collected revenue or billed revenue?
No, collected revenue from the billing from insurance companies. So, let's say just for argument's sake, our budget is $1.5 million. We're generating the $1 million already on our own, and then we're just looking for a supplement.
A very simple question, since you're giving a service, why don't you just up your rates and you get the $1.5 million?
Can't,
No, there's no.
Medicare, it's a fixed rate.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they don't even have to pay them.
Well,
Even if they bill them, they don't have to pay them.
They don't.
Yeah, so,
well, no, that's.
The insurance company do, but individuals don't.
Yeah, there are, you can't get blood from the stone. If
Right.
somebody has no insurance and we bill them and continue to bill them, even send them to collection, yes.
Right.
Sometimes we don't get paid.
Right.
But we
All right,
really
so-
scrutinized this and we've really increased our billing tremendously, which is, good for us and good for the amount of revenue that we need if a district is created.
so and the insurance company has to pay you, especially if mobile life comes first, if the paramedics come first,
That's one
they
of,
pay you also?
that's one of the other problems. Mobile life is gone.
Or whoever it is.
Yeah, well,
Whatever system.
what happened is,
Yeah.
nobody really took over like Mobile Life took over. So now what's happening is, we're doing mutual aids, quite a few mutual aids to other districts, because you couldn't believe what's happening in other areas and including our area. We did 2,663 calls last year. Since January 1 of this year, we've been out 85 times. Just from January 1, in 11 days, we've been out 85 times. It's just exploding, the amount of need for EMS services.
All right, well,
All right, well,
we
let's
have,
just move on.
some of them are coming in at the next meeting to do the presentation, and then we can go from there. Next thing on the agenda is to review and discuss the request quote for the lead paint testing at the town hall. Sean, you want?
Sure. As you know, you have two portions of this building, an older portion, an original portion, and a new portion that was built in the 90s. The older portion, the brick, is soft, and at some point, somebody used an incorrect coating system, wrong paint, if you will, and portions of the brick now are disintegrating because moisture is getting trapped behind that brick. And essentially, there are portions that are almost like sand, certain bricks, you can walk through them and touch them. So the supervisor asked me to look into a repair approach that would preserve that.
Yeah.
The first step is to determine whether over the course of the lifetime any lead-based paint was applied to that surface. You don't want to take that off and then create a contamination issue. So I received a quote from Quest. You call Quest, help you with the solution demolition project. They provided a quote for $2,950 if they have to rent a lift. If you can provide them with a lift and an operator, that price drops to just shy of $1,200. And there is a lift in your parking lot right now, so they thought that perhaps.
The lift, we got approval from Tam. He will provide us.
I think it's a great idea
Well,
myself.
that's excellent.
All right, so
Yeah.
the supervisor, you asked about when this
Very
piece
nice.
is needed, I heard back from them today. They said that depending on the weather, they could probably complete the field work within 2 weeks,
Great.
and then do the report within another 2 weeks.
So they can just give us the date you're gonna be here. I'll make sure Tam has an operator here to operate that.
Thank you.
So Sean, then that takes care of the lead, right? Whether we have lead or whether we
Well,
don't.
that tells us what direction we
In
gotta go.
in the long run, what do we do? Let's say there is no lead, just as an example.
So-
we have a problem where specific bricks have to be replaced.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, and I can tell you the design approach that we're looking to take. And I did speak to somebody that does this day in and day out, and they put me in contact with some contractors down in South Jersey that do a lot of rehab work in the Philadelphia area with older brick, historic brick. So George, the first thing is to do is determine if you have lead or not on that brick.
Right.
Presuming that you don't, best case scenario, we would then have to remove that paint. We'd have to try a bunch of different chemical strippers. We cannot blast that paint off, even if it is not contaminated, because it will destroy the brick even further.
Right.
So we use a chemical stripper to remove it. We would remove the brick, remove the paint, assess the bricks to see which areas are confident and which are not confident, and then remove those bricks, put new bricks in, replace the mortar, and then determine a new coating system that is intended to allow bricks to breathe.
Right.
All of this would have to be coordinated with New York State SHPO because it is a historic structure. So it's a difficult repair, even more so difficult because of the historic nature of it. So this is the first step though.
And it's a good thing we're checking out for lead.
All right, so with that being said, could I get a motion to approve the proposal P-248-762 as prepared by Quest?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 5. Thanks. You have anything else, Sean?
Only if you want me to talk about that joint public hearing, or is that just a?
Well, yeah, let's do it going next. Schedule a joint public hearing with the planning board on Thursday, February 1st, 2024, 7:30 regarding SR 94 New York LLC, Lightstar Renewable Solar Farm project.
So Lightstar is another solar project. They were the last one to get in before you had a moratorium.
Right.
It's a smaller solar project. It's 2.4 megawatts AC. It's essentially across the street from Durham Avenue where it intersects with 94. So there's a field there. That's the area they're looking to place in. They're looking for 27 acres on a 60-acre site. They have before the planning board on 2 occasions. Planning board has commenced seeker. They've done their part 2 on seeker. Next step is a public hearing. They've scheduled a public hearing, and because the applicant needs some additional time, they've pushed it out, but now we have a firm date of February 1st. So if this board would like to have a joint public hearing that night, the applicant would appreciate it, I'm sure the resident would appreciate it as well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
No problem?
No.
All right, so can I get a motion to schedule the joint public hearing? February 1st, 7:30.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sean, I am going to ask you to stay here for you, because I know they may have some questions of where they are on planning and so on. Mark?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think they were done already by Grace and House.
It's an initial report presentation from Hughes Energy Group.
Yeah, it was joint. I don't know.
No, not for sure.
So this is Mark Millspaw.
Right. Mark Millspaw, Sterling Environmental. I'm representing Hughes Energy.
If I could just preface before we start, so relative to this application, any vote, I will be abstaining from the vote. And the reason I'm abstaining from the vote is because prior to me becoming supervisor, I represented Hughes in multiple presentations throughout the state of New York. And I also still sit as an advisor on their, municipal advisor on their board to share any information municipally that they may need from us. So although I don't get paid from them, I've never gotten paid from them, I think I can weigh in on stuff, but I'm not gonna ever sit on the vote. So.
Thanks. With that, just by way of introduction, Hughes is a multifaceted company that specializes in managing certain organics, paper, and municipal waste. Their technology is autoclave based, autoclave similar to you would encounter in a medical facility or a hospital, although on a larger scale. The autoclave is fed batches of waste, and under steam, heat, and pressure, that waste is converted in a short period of time, typically less than an hour and a half. And the converted material, the organics, the paper, convert to a fibrous component, and then what's left is the recyclable component that was in the material that went in the first place. So the metals, glass, plastics are still in there. Once through an autoclave, the material is sterilized. All the pathogens are killed, all the odor-causing agents are killed, and what's left is more readily handled to remove the recyclables. The workers don't have to worry about encountering infectious materials and injuries of that nature. So anyhow, the technology enhances the recovery of recyclables. The technology is in use in the UK, in Great Britain, Ireland, with success. It's been ongoing for a number of years and has gained widespread acceptance. There's no operating facility in the United States at production scale. And one of the problems that Hughes has encountered is there's a market for the fiber material. Paper companies and recyclers can use that fibrous material to make products like cafeteria trays, packing material, the trays you get at McDonald's to hold the coffee cups, that kind of thing. But Hughes doesn't have demonstration material to provide to their offtake partners so that the partners can evaluate and do the physical assessment of the material to see if it meets their specifications. And this has come up a number of times to the point where Hughes has proposed to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to do a demonstration scale project. New York State DEC's regulations have a provision for short-term, small demonstration projects under a permit. And the permit's limited duration, typically 24 months, but renewable in 12 months increments, no more than 2 renewals. So this is kind of a one-shot opportunity to undertake research and development. Hughes has had discussions with Orange County about the 200-acre parcel that's behind the Orange County transfer station and in front of the landfill. It's a large piece of land that's underutilized, and the county has expressed a willingness to allow Hughes to use the old gas recovery building, which is a 3,600 square foot building where the generators used to be for the landfill gas recovery system.
Right.
So that hasn't operated in many years. The building is essentially empty, and the county has shown a willingness to work with Hughes. Hughes is interested because all the other solid waste management activities already occur on this property. There's a scale house, there's this research activity would easily drop into the site in this existing building. So we have had the discussions underway with Orange County, and that site falls into the town of Goshen. The town of Goshen code has a prohibition on solid waste management facilities with limited exception of certain types of composting. And while internationally the technology is sometimes referred to as rapid composting, it doesn't meet New York State DEC's definition of composting because heat is added to the process, whereas New York's definition is more the type of composting that would happen on a farm or in your backyard.
Yeah.
So I appeared before the planning board, gave a little bit more involved presentation, provided them with an application package that included the environmental assessment form, and the determination was that because of the code amendment, that element of the approvals, that I should come to the town board and make a similar presentation. The action that's before the town has 3 components. There's site plan approval, special permit, and a code amendment. And the code amendment, I provided in this packet, but if you want to refer to it, it's attachment 1B to the November 21 letter. And there's a cover memo explaining why the code amendment would be needed. And then there's actually some red line edits proposed to the code. And one of the drivers for this, the reason companies like Hughes are interested in getting these technologies evaluated and ultimately developed. A few years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, New York State adopted the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act. And that's a very robust piece of legislation that set ambitious goals for the state of New York in an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and the ill effects of climate change. And part of that legislation directed state agencies to begin factoring into their decision making. They have to take into consideration the climate implications. The state of the art in New York State for solid waste management hasn't advanced much over the years. The majority of waste still goes to landfills. Those landfills are more distant from the waste generating centers. All waste in Orange County gets run through transfer stations, either public or private, and then to landfills either in Pennsylvania or in the Finger Lakes. The Orange County puts the disposal contracts out to bid on a regular basis, and it flip-flops between Empire Landfill in Pennsylvania or Ontario County Landfill in the Finger Lakes, sometimes Seneca Meadows, I guess. Landfills are identified as one of the most significant sources of methane. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, many times more potent than CO2. To get the garbage to the landfills from waste generation centers like Goshen, it's trucking long distances. Tractor trailers at best get 5 miles to the gallon. A round trip of several hundred miles consumes a lot of diesel fuel. That's contributing to CO2 and a range of diesel-based emissions. New York State DEC now has to take into consideration at renewal of landfill permits and even new permits like what Hughes is proposing, the greenhouse gas implications. The benefit that technologies like Hughes represent is it reduces the amount of material that may ultimately have to go to a landfill. The organics are converted into a usable product, and the inorganic recyclable component can be better recovered, and there may be a small residue fraction left over that is the only part that gets transported to a landfill. So it touches all those aspects of what the state is attempting to accomplish. The other thing that a technology like Hughes represents is it can be located up in the waste shed, near the points where waste is being generated, whether it's just food waste or residential garbage or yard waste, whatever it is. You can locate these things where the waste is being generated. Right now, all we're talking about is a demonstration facility. Hughes needs to crawl before they can walk. And while they've got experience in the UK, the problem domestically is the makeup of the waste streams are different enough that you get a different output. And what Hughes wants to do in the demonstration phase is make different recipes of materials that are going to be converted. You can mix food waste with paper waste, with household waste in different combinations, run batches, and then ascertain the physical and chemical properties of what you made, generate that data, and even share the material that you produce with the partners that may ultimately use it. So that's the overview. The code modification that we propose.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. When you say, are these autoclaves, are they jacketed where the steam goes in around the garbage, or does it go in on top of the garbage?
The entire vessel gets pressurized with steam.
Okay, so it's just a single vessel.
Right, and the demonstration scale unit that we proposed at the Orange County property would be capable of taking small 1-ton batches.
Right.
It's the steam generator is electric powered, so there's no combustion.
Okay.
There's heavy duty electric into this piece because they were generating electricity there. So.
One more question. Okay. The venting of this, as it's cooking, is there any monitor on that, the steam and you know, when you're cooking all this garbage, you're going to create...
It's being reprocessed.
It's recovered.
Okay, so it doesn't leave the site. I mean, it doesn't go in the air then?
No, it's all enclosed in the building.
Okay. And then the third thing is, you know, I saw they were going to truck water in. Is this something where they can use the Wallkill River water?
We haven't proposed that.
I mean, it'd be too expensive now perhaps to do that, but I was just thinking in terms, if you're going to scale up to doing a big operation, instead of having it for 24 months, you can really put a lot of coming in there.
That site wouldn't be conducive to a large scale. It would be somewhere, it'd have to go somewhere else on that property.
Well, I mean, that would make, I'm just thinking in terms of.
I don't think they're using that much water in the demo unit, correct?
That's right. For the scale operation we're talking about, trucking in was most economical.
That's fine, no, I wasn't thinking about
And
that.
also,
Yeah.
there's liquid waste removed from the property already, from the landfill and from the couple buildings that are on the property. And under the license agreement with Orange County, we're looking at the possibility of piggybacking on that contract to get rid of the liquid waste, which is, again, fairly minimal.
I'm just thinking, because I'm glad you're coming, I'm glad you're gonna do the testing and all that. A couple of years out, and say, okay, let's make it 150 times more. I'm just thinking water, use water, and,
Right.
Okay.
I just have a couple of questions also.
Sure.
The waste that you'll be processing, will that include the recyclables? It'll all go into one vat, and then later on so will people have to recycle any longer, or will this take care of the recycling?
Well, this is just research and development at
No,
this
I
stage.
understand. Under a full-scale system,
Yeah.
correct, you wouldn't have to recycle anymore.
It would be any recycling.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, good. So, on a full-scale system, at that, you've been in, I know you were talking to Orange County. Do you have the approval of the legislature yet?
This is just a
Licensing
this is just a license agreement.
Right.
The county exec's office can approve a licensing agreement without going to the legislature. As per Rick Gold.
Ah, yeah. I know in other municipalities, and you did touch upon those, there were other issues, many issues. It's before the planning board, you made an application, I reviewed the whole application, I don't want to take the time to go over each exception that I have, because I'm sure that can be done later. And by the way, that was a good oversight that you gave us. But I know there are wetlands out there, and there's a lot of federal, over an aquifer by on some of the property. Is the DEC involved? I know some of the municipalities that you approached, they're waiting for the EIS to be completed, and I don't know where that's hanging. Will there be an EIS on this in order for the DEC to weigh in on this?
Can I take this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
somebody take it.
So I'm here pretty much to talk about process on this application. As
Right.
Mr. Millspot indicated, there's three components to the town's approval for this. One is the code modification, which rests with this board.
Well, that's the one I'm concerned with, to be honest with you, because once we do that, it's a modification for the whole town.
That's correct.
So, before I go in, that to me, that is the big one. If you could go for the zoning board of appeals and do something like that and get it changed, I'd be happy. If we could do it by special permit, I'd be happy. But to do it by local law and change the law for the whole town, that one I need to be comfortable with what's going on.
Bill, if you could bear with me.
Now, go ahead. Yeah, I just want
I'll
to let you know.
So there's the three components: the code modification, the site plan approval, and the special permit. When Mr. Millspot appeared before the planning board,
Right.
the EAF that was completed discussed the site plan and special permit approval, but not the code. And this board is familiar with your history about seeker and segmentation.
Right.
So the advice that Kelly was giving the planning board was that they shouldn't split these two items up for the reason that you're discussing right now.
Right.
Mr. Millspot revised the EAF. He's defined the total action to include the code modification, the site plan approval, and the special permit approval. So the action that he really is looking for this board to do is for you to declare your intent to be lead agency for seeker, and for you to type the action, it should be a type 1 action. But with your history and with the planning board's knowledge, if you will, what I would expect to happen is the planning board will object to you being lead agency, and then ultimately you would consent to the planning board being lead agency. But because of the local law component, Phil, it has to start with this board, and ultimately we would get to either an expanded part 3 or an EIS or something else like that. But really at this point we just need to start that process so we can get there.
But in order to start that process, we have to change the law.
No, The change the
Or
law is
amend the
part of the
code?
process. No, you don't have to complete
Okay.
that.
We just have to introduce
So
it.
Okay.
If I can ask a question, why do we have to lift the prohibition on waste when the waste already exists on the site that they're gonna be using? Waste is already there, they're not shipping the waste in, they're getting it from Orange County, or from a carter that's going in there already.
I can't answer that question, but this is the application that was
Okay.
presented to the town is reacting to the application.
Okay, but I'll get that question from Kelly.
I think they never looked at it that way, it wasn't proposed.
Regarding the code modification,
Yeah.
and your point about
Yeah.
the prohibition, we're requesting that the prohibition be removed. The town doesn't really lose anything because your criteria for issuing site plan approval and for special use permits are pretty robust. The code also has, in the solid waste section, provisions for permitting facilities by the local government. What we had suggested is remove the outright prohibition on solid waste management facilities and then make the permitting and any financial assurances for the facility discretionary to the town. You could waive those or you could impose as you see fit. The reason we were suggesting having that flexibility is the permitting that we have to do before other agencies is pretty robust. And we don't want to have I don't know that it serves the town to be duplicating what others are doing unless you feel they're not doing their jobs adequately. So if you retain the right, but have the discretion to waive those things, I think that would be a provision to modify in your code. And again, this is thinking forward and looking at what might be, what the future may hold. For Hughes isn't going to be the only purveyor of the technology that might want to come to town. There's parties that are definitely interested in food waste. There's parties that are interested in all waste. Hughes is the steam autoclave. It's not combustion. It's not incineration. There's no other physical or chemical change going on. It's simply heat and pressure. And you retain the full latitude to do whatever you want. It's just opening the door to let people come in if the project's right for the town of Goshen.
And you say we have to declare lead agency?
Yes, it would start.
Knowing that we're gonna get,
Yes.
so there's no way to just defer?
Yeah.
The layers of government.
Yeah. And if I may,
Yeah.
the reason it works that way is that there's other agencies as well. The DEC is involved in this.
Yeah.
So everybody that's an involved agency is defined under seeker, gets their bite of the apple.
Yeah.
More than likely, they won't respond, or they will consent to this board being lead agency or the planning board being lead agency, but that's the way to do it. That's the reason to do it that way.
Yeah. To be honest, I want to make sure DEC is involved in this whole process.
Well, you gotta go to them, right? You
Yeah,
have to go to.
we can't do this without a DEC permit.
No, I know that, but before, I don't want to throw in I don't want to be responsible for opening the floodgates and then find out that DEC says to us, why did you allow any of this stuff? Why didn't you change the law for that? Because I know they have this under review already from other municipalities. And I just don't know what the ultimate response was by the DEC if they...
You can share it.
Yeah,
I mean, if you don't mind sharing where they are in Greene County.
Yeah, the application was advanced to the point where the opposition, the local opposition, gave Hughes pause for concern about...
Which one was that?
Rockstar.
Rockstar.
Yeah, okay.
It gave Hughes some pause for concern about how much more time and money it was going to take. Meanwhile, it wasn't answering the questions about what they're capable of making. They still have their offtake partners that are anxious to see what the character of this fiber will be and how they may be able to use it. And so the application was never reached a point where it was complete and something that the DEC would be capable of acting on.
Okay, so.
And if I may say, I was up there during that process, as you're aware. You know, there was more opposition to the location of where it was going than there was to the technology.
By that
It
creek.
was just it was a bad spot.
Seneca Creek, and I read all the document, I mean, everything. Just so, because I wanted to understand what we were talking about. So, okay, so.
And although Mark brought a point before, the technology doesn't exist in the US, uses technology and doesn't exist, but Georgia Pacific under the Juno brand is operating an autoclave for the production of fiber from municipal solid waste in Oregon and in Atlanta. So the technology does exist in the country, it just uses technology doesn't.
So what
What
you're
would
really
be the
looking for?
fastest way to do this?
Sorry, go ahead.
Fastest way in terms of
Yeah, I mean,
process or?
so we don't mean the bureaucracy gets in the way of this.
Right.
I'm just trying to see, I'm thinking of the company here, I'd like to see it be done and
Yeah,
get
so I
started.
think the process, Doug, would be, I'll go over what you would need to do this evening to kick this off. It would be on, they're already on the planning board agenda for next week.
Right.
To object. And then you still have to wait the 30 days anyway for any other involved agencies at the DEC.
Okay.
So essentially, the process would be you start, planning board takes over lead agency, the planning board declares their intent to be lead agency, and then the process can move forward.
So us starting, what does that mean?
For you to start, you would firstly authorize your attorney to prepare a local law modifying your code.
Okay.
Mr. Millspaw provided a sample of what
I
he
saw
did.
that, yeah.
I have the local law already done, we just didn't put it on the agenda, but I do have a copy of it to share with the board.
The other would be for this board to declare their intent to be lead agency, knowing the planning board will
Object.
And then the last would be to type the action, to type one secret action.
Is that something we should do for the next meeting? Or?
Yeah.
I think if you're willing to move forward tonight, I think you can do it tonight.
I don't know, our town attorney is not here, I mean, I'm not.
All we're really doing is, we're not voting on the introductory law.
No, you're authorizing the preparation of it.
Declaring lead agency and authorizing the preparation, that's it.
Well, why don't
Taking
you,
the action.
why don't you create a motion then verbally for us to pursue?
Okay, so the first motion would be to authorize the town attorney to prepare a local law. So I don't know if you want to move forward with that.
And this is what, number 12, what?
I don't know.
It's gonna be
It's local law
introductory local law
number,
one.
introductory local law number 1 of 2024.
And that's what you have?
That's what I have here, yep.
Okay.
So are we able to limit this to how long is the R and D gonna be in effect before?
Maximum 36 months.
Okay.
He said it before.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
The
So
DEC
like the
permit.
finish my question and then, will this R and D project go for the whole 36 months or after 12 months? Will you come back and apply for a permit to go full-blown operation? I mean, how can we limit this? So we know if it's not working and it's creating too much of a problem for us, that we have.
Well, I think you retain the right under whatever special conditions get attached. You could shut the thing down if there's some aspect of it that is outside the purview of the criteria that you review for approving. DEC will only issue the permit for the duration that's stated in the regulations, and that I believe it reads 24 months with the ability to renew, but it's capped out.
Okay.
It's capped out.
Okay.
They strictly treat this as research and development. This is, the essence of it cannot be managing waste.
Right.
So it's just research.
The only mechanism that you would do that under is your special permit. Just like this evening, you
Right.
consider a special permit amendment for a solar facility. That permit's gonna be valid for 1 year. They would have to come back for an extension for 1 year if they don't have a signed site
Yeah,
plan.
yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how it works out.
So the code modification that would take place, it appears like it's being done on a permanent basis. We're changing
It has to be.
the code
Yeah.
on a
Right,
permanent basis.
but requirement is a special permit or?
And for the town.
Just let me
Yeah.
complete the thought. And that's the thing, if this thing goes bust or something horrific happens, which Goshen has a past history of
Terrible.
difficulty of things like that.
We turn the page,
Yes.
no more difficulty here.
Yeah, right. As I witnessed tonight.
You always change back.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer,
You
so.
always change code back.
Change the code back.
Yeah, right.
And this prohibition was introduced at a time when private actors and governments, including Orange County, were looking around at where they could have additional landfills. So a lot of municipalities, Goshen included, put these prohibitions in their code. Now you jump ahead 20 years, and in the light of the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act, I think it's a different playing field. And what I've suggested here is you're just cracking the door so that the type of project you want to let in, you can let in, but you don't need to let in technologies that don't fit in the town or don't meet your criteria.
Right.
Will you be running these at other municipalities? I know you've gone to Sullivan County, I know Rockland, Delaware, simultaneously, or is this, or are you scrapping all those other applications and just coming to Orange County for R&D? Because if it's R&D, it's...
Yeah, right now we're focusing on R&D. Negotiations are underway in some of the communities you mentioned, and perhaps others. I'm not necessarily involved in all of them.
Right.
But the thing that Hughes has identified as very important is they need to get some real data of what they're capable of making. That'll help the applications in other areas, and it'll help, create markets for their material.
I think you're talking about the Sullivan application, which
Well, that's
went in
the
as
one I
R&D.
know
Yes, they're
Raspberry is
abandoning
named-
that, they're abandoning that for Orange County, yes.
Oh, so
The R&D facility that they were going to do up in Sullivan,
Right.
they're abandoning that for Orange County, for Goshen, if it's approved.
Okay, and that was their decision or your decision?
That was the decision of Hughes Energies.
Okay, good. All right. I didn't know if you were gonna run a couple of these
in
various places, so it's only gonna be, okay, all right.
Plus, did they meet a lot of opposition in Sullivan County?
I did the presentation up there. There wasn't a lot of opposition, it was very well received. The problem is it became a political process up there. The infighting in Sullivan County, as you can see, the whole landscape of Sullivan has changed. It's a brand new legislature now, it's gone Democratic for the first time in a long time. So there was a lot of resistance only because of the infighting. But in theory, even the Democratic side it appealed to them.
Well, I think what we ought to do is tonight, accept that we'll be the lead agency or whatever, and just get it started.
You okay with that? Everybody okay with that? So first you want to lay it out?
Yeah, the first action that this board would take would be to authorize council to prepare instructional law number 12. I'm sorry.
Number one of
2024, that makes sense, regarding modifications to municipal solid waste regulations.
And then we'll vote on that another time.
Yes, you
No,
have
we'll vote to do the-
technically, you don't even have it prepared. Supervisor has an advanced
I
copy.
say, so moved.
Yeah. Well, you need to, I abstained from the vote, so.
Oh, yeah.
Doug made the motion, I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
In the roll call, or?
Probably.
Probably be a good idea.
Roll call, but go ahead.
Aye.
I abstain.
Yes.
Second will be to type this as a type 1 action under seeker.
So
Type
moved.
1 is what?
Type 1 is the highest level, it has a potential for an environmental impact.
That's right. I want to make sure that we have.
Second.
Yes.
George and Doug, roll call.
Aye. Phil, aye.
Wyans, aye.
Aye.
Last is for you to declare your intent to be secret of the agency.
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
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 So, Mary, I don't know if it's going to be Kelly or Rory, but one of them would have to prepare a notice of intent for them to be the agency to circle out to the other involved agencies. Yeah. So you can get that.
We should try to get it out this week so they object to it at the very next meeting.
Yep.
That's how Rory, he's been texting me.
Yeah, he's got.
Sean, that's
he's
Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday, yeah.
If it gets on the agenda.
Yeah, it is on the agenda because of the discussion that we had.
You know, this thing has a lot of potential relative to, I go out there a lot for my truck and stuff.
The building that they're moving into, oh, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
The building that they moved into.
They used to collect methane and sell the methane
Yeah.
as a byproduct of that building, but it's been vacant You can still use that building? I don't know what shit.
Some work has to be done.
Yeah, it's more or less empty. The county's been storing some equipment in there.
Okay.
But all the prior gas recovery infrastructure's been pulled out.
It's in Middle Street.
And this is I know it's powered by electric, it's not gas powered.
That's
For
right.
Zoom.
That's right.
That's what it says.
The R&D unit is powered by electric.
Right, I thought
The
so.
full-blown unit is powered by natural gas only because there aren't large enough boilers to generate enough BTUs
For
electric.
the R&D, I'm more interested in the R&D, to see what develops out of this thing, you know?
Well, thank you, Mark.
Great, thanks.
Safe trip back home. Thank you, Sean, appreciate it.
Where are you from, Mark?
Schenectady.
You came all the way over here?
I grew up in Walton, so I'm down here.
Oh, you did?
His parents own Millspaw Furniture.
And the funeral.
And the room. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's your brother
Yes,
that comes in?
yeah.
Well, that was really
I'd rather have
informative
your,
presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very informative.
All right, next on the agenda is a review and approve the December 14th, 2023 minutes. Motion to approve. So moved. Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Somebody jumped the gun.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Review and approve the January 2nd meetings. A motion to approve. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay accounts payable check run for January 11th in the amount of $700,204.25.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay the manual AP run as of 11/30/23, $856,856.32.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. Oh, well.
All right, so Christine put together and asked us for an approval on the expenditure of the opera money in 2023. Everybody has a copy of it. It's everything we approved, and attached to it are all the meetings that we approved, the individual items. Anybody have any questions on that?
No.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve the use of the opera money as dispensed for 2023?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, privilege of the floor.
Oh, wait.
Up,
Can I
Christine?
have an approval to approve the budget transfers that were listed
I
as
didn't
well?
have that, I apologize. Mary
Yeah, I
Ann.
don't have that.
You don't have that?
Nope.
No.
Want to give
You
it to
put
me?
it on the ARPA and I missed it.
Wait, this page?
Yeah, I don't have it.
I thought it was part of ARPA.
Give me, I'll do
They
it.
gave it to me, I gave them everything. They have them.
It's just basically transferring the money from the revenue, the ARPA revenue, and to cover the expenses.
So I can just give a motion for the whole thing, correct? Or I don't have to individually
Yeah, no,
do
no.
it, just give the dollar amount?
Yes.
All right, so I need a motion to transfer $68,601.27. I mean, I may have to do each one, right?
Just say from the budget expenses to the, or from the revenue, the ARPA revenue to the
The budget
budget.
expenses. So I
For
a
the
motion to
FIFA.
transfer $68,601.27 from the opera budget to the
Revenue
expenditures.
to the expenses.
The
So
ARPA
moved.
revenue to the budget.
Right.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Who first did?
I did.
Phil? George?
And then the, there's more underneath this, the 68, right?
Oh, the 5,500.
Yes.
I apologize, okay. I need a motion to transfer $5,550 from the expenditure budget to the payable budget.
From
So
the
moved.
revenues to the expenses.
Revenue to the, what is it?
Revenue to the expenses.
Revenue to the expense.
And that's for the water districts.
For the water district.
Yes.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion, privilege of the floor. Yes, sir.
Yes, if you find that infrastructure report that Dominic drew up, can that be put online again so that the rest of the public can see what problems they may be coming up?
I looked today and I'm not sure, I think it might be a report that we did with Sean Hoffman. Like, I feel like we sat around at a meeting with Sean and Dominic at one point, Doug.
So if we can just put an email out to Sean and Dominic.
Yeah, Sean might have it.
It was pretty specific as to what was wrong with each.
Right.
How long ago did you see it?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it might be not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there
So if
was
we
a
put an
lot.
email out to
I kind of know what you're looking for.
Yeah, it was before
Yeah.
This
It
board-
wasn't a
well,
report.
not, well, this board.
Yeah.
Some of this board.
All right, we'll get that for you.
Yeah, I think if
We'll
you,
try.
I mean, I'd like the rest of the people to
Yeah.
realize what, you know, what the
We'll get it before the next meeting.
forthcoming problems are.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hal?
Well, I appreciate that public hearing. I did not weigh in because I didn't want to prolong that discussion. I could see that the trend was towards support, which I myself do. But I think there's a couple of questions. One, I'm presuming that the Heritage water system is pressurized by a tank possessed by Hamilton Park.
Correct, that's correct.
Yeah, so that's an expense that Mumford or somebody didn't have to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, the charge structure is now divided by percentages, especially if you're a 25% user. Are we getting billed based on gallons used, or are we still getting?
Right now, you're like everybody else in that district, right? First 10,000
You're
gallons?
paying-
It's
Yeah.
still a big.
No, this will work better for the people that use less water.
Yeah, water is a rare resource around here, and to charge,
Yep.
you know, a flat fee for 10,000 gallons for homes that use 4,000 or 5,000
Right,
gallons
exactly.
is not encouraging
No. Now you're only gonna
conservation
pay,
of that resource.
Right.
yeah, now you're only gonna pay for the actual money of the
That's
water
a
you
much
use.
better way
Yeah.
to preserve
Yeah.
a resource you value
Right.
as
Yeah.
a town.
Mhm.
I just want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, the
Thank
situation
you.
at large is if you have a husband and a wife that live in a house, their water consumption is not gonna be that of a husband and a wife and 5 kids.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Unless your family
they're
comes to
gonna be
visit
below
John.
the 25%. They'll be maybe 15%.
But if you've got a 10,000 gallon
Minimum.
minimum,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you may water the hell out of your lawn and not give a damn, because you're gonna
Paying for it.
pay for it anyway.
You're right.
No, over the years, that has come up several times at our ward meetings about, you know,
Yeah.
generally older people that were just there, or maybe even husbands
Older
passed on, it
widows.
was just a woman there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they
There's
were
lots of
paying
examples
10,000,
where
and they
people
weren't
use
going
less.
anywhere near 10,000.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Doesn't this also benefit the people that go way above also, that they won't be paying the penalty for, you know, 20,000 gallons?
No, but they'll be paying a higher rate
Higher
per
rate.
gallon.
Yeah, correct. But what he's saying though is they don't jump to the next
They don't
phase.
jump to the next
Same
phase, so
rate.
they'll
I
get,
thought it
they'll
was-
get a
So
reduction.
if they exceed 10,000, if they only exceed it by 500 gallons, they're not going to the next step, they're only paying for 10,500 gallons.
Right.
Right, and,
Yeah.
yeah, and then people that are used to paying for 20,000, I mean, people do that, people use a lot.
There are people that still
So
fill
their
their
bills,
pools
their
without
bills
water.
should theoretically go down.
The theory behind the 10,000 gallons was that even though you use 4,000 or 5,000 gallons, you're still using the whole system, the same as everybody
5
else.
Middle Street, the
So,
house is
so
gone. It's up in flames.
somewhere along the line, they had to do a base price
So it's
for you using the system.
Right.
They
It's
arrived
like
at
the
10,000.
second right-hand turn. It's a dead end.
Yeah,
Oh, I know where it's at.
Montgomery and then Middle,
Yeah,
right?
5 Middle.
No,
No.
no, it's the new one, the new part, into the new subdivision.
into-
That's the
Oh.
first right, and middle is the second right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that house is totally.
Totally gone, yeah. From Gulf. That was quick.
It's too bad. Well, there's an old house.
All right, anything else? No. Can I have a motion to close the January 11th meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in